I am Wilfred Anagbe here as the bishop, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, the capital of Benue State in Nigeria. I am the shepherd of one of the 4 dioceses, Catholic dioceses in Benue. We have others, Anglican, Methodist, and Pentecostals, which sort of the Benue State has a population of about 6.1 million people, 2 million of whom are those under my care as the bishop of the diocese. Benue State is about 98% Christian, with very few Muslims living in towns. Nigeria and eventually my diocese and the state of Benue have become, in recent years, one of the most dangerous and insecure places for Christians. Christians and Muslims are nearly evenly divided among Nigeria's large population of over 200 million persons. Islamist extremists are fiercely contesting the possession, control, and governing law of the land, especially in the country's northern and central regions, the latter of which is where Benue is located. There are constant ethnic, political, and religious conflicts over land and allegiance. Constitutionally, we are a secularist country, but our unity has been fragile. Political and religious actions and even public speech have been carefully managed to avoid accusations of religious bias and political tensions. Today, the clear influence of Islamist extremists has changed the traditional social dynamics of tribe, ethnicity, religion, and the social status in Nigeria. Because just recently, at the beginning of the Ramadan fast, 12 states in northern Nigeria have declared closed schools so that they attend to this. And you can imagine, which other country in the world does that? Saudi Arabia is not doing it. Afghanistan is not doing it. Baghdad is not doing it, but then Nigeria is practicing. What kind of Islam are they practicing? 12 states, and not only Muslims are living in these places. What happens with the educational program or curriculum of the country? But this is what we are going through every day in Nigeria. A long-term Islamic agenda to homogenize the population has been implemented over several presidencies through a strategy to reduce and eventually eliminate the Christian identity of half of the population. This strategy includes both violent and non-violent actions, such as the exclusion of Christians from positions of power and adoption of such church members, the raping of women, the killing and exploitation of Christians, the destruction of churches and farmlands of Christian farmers, followed by the occupation of such lands by the Fulani herders, and also changing the names of these villages. They are taking over the places, so you clearly see an expansionist approach and Islamic, and then they are making the people now flee and leave their villages and they conquer it. The quest to Islamalize the land appears high on the agenda of some of the powerful and influential Muslims in Nigeria. There is a campaign to take land to spread Islam, and there is the hemorrhaging of Christian farmers from the central region of Nigeria and Benue State, and Makurdi Diocese in particular, as they are forced to abandon fertile lands that used to feed the nation, which classify Benue as the food basket of the nation. Militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists destroying society. They steal and vandalize, they kill and boast about it. They kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from the elected authorities. None of them have been arrested and brought to justice. This is supported by the corrupt system in which we operate and the abject poverty among us, which allow the criminal to easily attract more recruits and prey on more victims. Why is this happening? Is it really a religious war? Like in the past, many jihadists are motivated less by religion than by spoils of war and use their religion to impose themselves. In my diocese, the spoils consist mainly of fertile, well-tended land organized around my parishes or so. The jihadists come and adopt and kill the priests, leaving thousands without support and basic human services. And of course, when they disperse the people, the inhabitants, or the citizens, or the people of the lands, they take over. And any attempt to go back and take care of your farms, surely you get killed. The Makurdi Diocese in Benue State has been the epicenter of the invasion by these herders who are more like hired guns of cattle oligarchies, who manipulate religion to rally the headers to eliminate the Christian population and cleanse the land in the name of Islam. This objective is behind the relentless attacks against Benue's villages. When we call for help to the police and the army, they do not come. At the end of 2024, several villages were warned by the attackers of the upcoming violence, and the leaders called the police for defense ahead of time, but they did not come, and the Christian massacres, almost customary, took place, killing hundreds in Plateau and Benue, with the worst massacre claiming 47 people. The militant also burned down the 8 Catholic churches of St. Mary's Parish in the Diocese of Boko, which in Benue State, as well as the parish house, clinics, schools, and other houses. The militant Fulani herdsmen bear on defenseless villagers without consequences. They follow orders to conquer, kill, and occupy. They attack even those who have managed to escape into our IDP camps. Thereby, they have no place to run to. And it is unfortunate that the police system in Nigeria, orders have to come from above. And such that once there's a call, and they say they have never responded. And by the time they arrive, these people have left, and the people are now living in the pool of their blood. What I have recounted above is happening not only in Benue State. I believe our experience in Benue is symptomatic of what is happening elsewhere in large parts of Nigeria. The experience of the Nigerian Christians today can be summed up as that of a church under Islamist extermination. It is frightening to live there. Apart from the violent campaigns and attacks against Christian villages, there are now attempts by the Islamic Council of Nigeria and various Islamic groups to impose Sharia law on the Christian populations. Already, 12 states in the north of Nigeria are under this sectarian religious law, and attempts to extend the same to the south of Nigeria, which they have started. This month, governors in the north decided abruptly to close all schools and education institutions during the months of Ramadan, leaving millions of students without learning opportunity for 5 weeks. We live in fear because at any point it can be our turn to be killed, but to remain silent is to die twice. So I have chosen to speak. I speak on behalf of the millions who are in the camps. In Benue State, in Makurdi Diocese alone, in my diocese, I have about 9 camps. 9. On the 5th of March, which was Ash Wednesday, we visited one of the camps, and many of my priests and religious went to the other camps, distributed them to begin the Ash Wednesday with our faithful who are there, because we are the voice of the voiceless. We have to talk for the defenseless. We have to talk about the weak and those who cannot talk about themselves. In one of the camps called the Mega Camp, there were over 3,000 inmates of that camp, and which was a record given to us by government. I speak on behalf of them and those children who have no husband, who have no father, and even their own voices taken away by the politicians who promised to help them but have become the willing tools of the jihadists because they are talking politically correct statements, looking for next elections to come. I speak on behalf of those whose loved ones have been killed, but no one has even offered a word of consolation to them. I speak on behalf of the thousands of young girls who have been adopted and raped because no one, not even the media, mentions them anymore. Foremost, I speak on behalf of my flock who are unable to worship freely and unable to return to their ancestral farms and homes because that land has been ruthlessly taken from them by the armed herdsmen. And where they say they want to live in peace with the natives, if you must farm, you have to pay tax to hire the land which belongs to you. That is slavery, to say the least about it. As prosperous Nigeria is in the African continent, and I tell you, if there's outbreak of war in Nigeria, no country around us, Chad, Niger, Ghana, Guinea, Togo, no country can contain the population that will flee to these places. No country can be able to house over 5 million refugees. It's not possible because of that. And if 1 million refugees run to Chad and Niger, they'll collapse that country because there'll be no plan to take care of them. So we have to be very careful. Today, I urge you all to use every means within your mandate to start developing a strong and good relationship with Nigeria, where you know that when you speak of human dignity, You are also speaking of the same God-given right you believe is unalienable. Consider that Nigeria can be your ally, but it cannot be one where half the population is in the process of being murderously eliminated. Work with us, the churches, and other Nigerians of goodwill. We are working for a peaceful and prosperous society, and our desperate plight has been set aside U.S. foreign policy for too long, to the cost of thousands of lives. Concretely, I request and I plead, I ask you to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. This has both a practical and diplomatic meaning to signal that you are paying attention to what happens to us and elsewhere in the world. Because the policies the government is trying to put in place, so that to return the IDPs, build camps for them, relocate them from their homes, it is not durable and it will not work, because the government has already the population that is not able to take care of. And then you have over millions of people in the camps, and you want to relocate them to where? And if you do, let's take that you do. How many houses or rooms will you give me who has 5 children, another one has 3, another one has 2, and what will I be doing for a living? These people previously never begged anybody for food. They were managing their lives, training their children, and building their homes. So nobody should have deceived us on the guys that you're going to resettle to the IDPs. They have no jobs. So where you say them, what will be their place? And by the way, the fundamental question remains, if you resettle them to other camps or build places for them, what happens with the ancestral lands? Who takes care of them? And this is whereby I feel the government is complicit on this issue. Because these terrorists, Fulanis, displace them, kill people, and then occupy the place, and then change names, nomenclatures of these towns. For what reason? So we want to let the people go back to their homes and help for them to rebuild their lives. I implore this august body to insist on the return and rehabilitation of all the IDPs to their ancestral lands, and not to relocate them to other constructed camps elsewhere, which is an invented solution now being pushed in the Benue State government. And I tell you, Nigeria government can do that once they have to be accountable. Because I know Nigeria, under the auspices of ECOMOG, was able to reinstate constitutional government in Sierra Leone and Liberia. And they can do that now. We have the capacity, but because the leaders that are not prepared. And I think that's whereby I look, it's not just conspiracy of silence, it is aiding, abetting, and supporting these terrorists to keep doing their work. This is my plea. Thank you very much for this attention.